Top of the morning, gang. Happy Monday. You might not be able to hear me right now because I'm doing a test with my audio. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Is this even on? Let's see. Top of the morning, gang. It's your boy Joe Tang. Sorry about the last few seconds. I'm testing out audio. So if you're watching this, hey, Sanda, can you hear me? Sanda, help me test this out. Help me test this out, Sanda. Me. Anyway, what's up, Facebook? Awesome. Perfect. Sanda, you've been here, and I appreciate you, by the way, so much. This has to be the best audio I've had on the show so far. I'm working on ordering some mic and some equipment, but I figured I could use these while I talk to people, and this should come across pretty clear. So anyway, what's up, Facebook? What is up, YouTube? What is up, everybody who is going to be watching in the post? I am your host, Joe Tang. Today I will be interviewing my guy from TikTok, Shane, aka Liquid Channel, which I need to create him a banner so you guys can know where to follow him. I don't know too much about this guy. What I do know about him is that he's an amazing human being. He's been showing me a lot of love and support. He has a podcast called CoffeeTalk, which I'm going to be speaking to him about. And Shane, you're in the backstage. I see you. You can't hear me, but I can see you. Today I thought it would be cool to let me just bring you on. Hey, what's up, Michelle? My guy.
What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm here. Real quick, I can hear you clearly. I want to make sure the audience can hear you because I'm testing out this headset, and sometimes that might not go through. So can you guys hear? Shane?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
You sound loud and clear on my end. I just don't know if the computer is reading your audio through this platform. So sure. I might have to unplug these. But how are you doing this morning, my guy?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's good to see you, see your face on my computer screen this morning. I usually see you on TikTok all the time. So this is a whole new world.
It is for sure. Both of us seeing each other live, right? So perfect. Yeah. They can see you. They can hear us both clearly. We're rocking and rolling. So first of all, Shane, I just want to say thank you. Thank you on two parts. Thank you on the TikTok side of things where you've been, consistently showing me love on that platform, and it means a lot to me, man. And number two, thank you for wanting to be a guest on my show.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I think almost to the point where I believe in this mantra of positivity breeds positivity, man. And sometimes if you're around people that are in alignment with the things that you're trying to do, whether it's positive reinforcement, whether it's knowing you can achieve great things or whatever, it resonates with you, and you find those people. It's almost like an attraction. So when I saw you on there on TikTok, I was like, this guy, he's got something pretty special. And so I was just kind of like, bopping in. I've been doing podcasting for a long period of time, but then TikTok's fairly new for me. So I was like, okay, I want to surround myself with people that are similar to me. And I feel like you and I have a very similar message. So I enjoy watching your videos. I enjoy watching your lives that you do where you're interactive. It's really great, man. So I'm appreciative that you're having me on your show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Podcasting is definitely a big interest of mine to talk to you about. What I thought would be cool, which is probably not going to happen today because I did a bad job of promoting it, but usually on the show, I started it yesterday. I had a new format where I was bringing some people along for my TikTok live to have an opportunity for you and I to give them a virtual hug. I didn't have any takers for today, but we could jump right into the combo. I'm really curious though. When did you start podcasting?
Yeah. So the story behind the podcasting was around about 2 years ago, about 2.5 years ago. I was blogging online. And so I was on a weight loss journey. I had lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
And during that time that I was losing weight, I was going through and I was making blog entries, and I had a following that would go on and read my stuff. And, really a bunch of people were like, they liked the fact that I was writing down stuff that I struggled with, or I was in a place where, my mental side of things wasn't right today. So I had to get myself in the right place and right frame of mind. So I went through all that, and then I gained a following. And then one day I did an audio file. One day I just put out hey guys, just thinking about you. Love you guys, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.
And this guy hopped on and he says, hey, you've got a great voice. He goes, I think you need He goes, I think you need to be on the either radio or on podcasting. Now, I had never listened to a podcast before. I was like, all right, I don't really know what this is all about. I said, all right. So I went down to Guitar Center. I picked up a microphone. I picked up a little mixer and I hooked it up to my computer. I said, let me try it. And so all of a sudden, about 2 years ago, I fired off the podcast, and it was at one time it was about daily or every other day that I was just doing an audio journal of where I was at with it. All of a sudden, it really caught fire, man. People were like, I love the audio sound of it, because if I'm out going for a walk or I'm exercising on the treadmill or I'm at work or I'm on a break or something like that, my podcasts are usually only about 25 minutes, 30 minutes long, which is just long enough to be able to keep people's attention, I think, because those really long ones are like, oh man, I can listen to a book right now. so they enjoyed it. They loved it. I just hit my 199th episode. We're coming up on 200 episodes. And some of the stats, the geeky stuff part of it of the podcast is we just hit 2 million feed hits and 170,000 downloads on the podcast. That's pretty great, right?
That's
Me
awesome.
And my little office in my house up here.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm curious, when the guy said that you needed to be doing pretty much putting your voice out there, and you went to the store and bought your equipment, was he helping you? Because you've been giving me great advice on what equipment to get for my setup. Did he guide you there? How did you find your?
No, I just went. I went online and I said, let me try to wing it here and see what starter podcasts. Because a lot of them, if you go on places and you say, I mean, first of all, here I am. I was behind the safety of writing stuff down in a journal, right? I would write stuff down. I didn't have to put my face out there or my voice out there. I was good to go. Here's my journey. It's pretty brave to put yourself out there, whether it's on TikTok or audio or video or whatever. So I was nervous, man. I was like, oh man, what do I do here? So I went online. I looked up just entry-level podcasting stuff, because I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money. I got to be able to buy what I can afford.
Right.
So I went out and got the microphone and the thing based on a YouTube video that I saw, and so I put one foot in front of the other, and I was like, let me just go for it. And I listened to some of the old episodes, and the first and second and third ones, I'm like, whoa.
Cringy.
Like, hello? What is this?
That's amazing, man. What do you do for work?
Yeah, I'm an area manager for a cell phone company. So I travel throughout Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and I work with private owners. So I'm a consultant to their business. So I talk about profitabilities and things like that, and then try to be able to make sure that they're all kind of in line with the corporate structure and things like that. So I have about 14 locations that I service.
That's amazing. Just a fun fact for you: I was in the consulting side of things as well for salon businesses around the country. So I did a lot of traveling for about 4 years, and then when Courtney and I found out that she was going to have our twins, I kind of scaled back from that and have been working from home. So that's cool. That's cool. You're in the consulting.
Yeah, mine's 14 now, so I can be on the road a little bit more because he wants nothing to do with me right now. He's 14 years old. Like, Dad, get out of my face.
It's amazing. So let's talk about the journey of your podcast. So you started off just kind of sharing your journey on your weight loss and things of that nature, and then now it's evolved into CoffeeTalk. How did that? How did that? The
name of CoffeeTalk all started because I would blog every morning before everybody got up in the morning with my cup of coffee, is really what it was. So I had my cup of coffee, and that's the time when I'm getting, my brain starts working. I got yes, sir. Cup of Joe, man. So the brain starts working, and you start thinking to yourself just of the day, right? What's my schedule for the day? What do I want to achieve today? What do I want to accomplish today? And so a lot of it evolved from just my weight loss journey of me just blogging that and having audio snippets or snapshots of what I'm doing, to reinforcement of the people that were actually coming on there to listen to me now. They're looking for a little bit of guidance, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of hope, right? Just to be able to say, oh, he can do it.
Right.
Well, that means I can do it.
Absolutely.
And I would always try to be able to incorporate that, so it was, it became more of not a self-help, because I'm not one of those self-help guys. What I am is I'm a guy that's going to lift you up and support you as much as I can to promote you to, achieve all the goals you try to be able to get to. If I can do it, you can do it. Let's do it together. That's kind of the mantra of everything,
I love that. When you were getting feedback and it started picking up some steam, what was some of the common feedback you were getting? Can you recall? Like, were people saying, you know what, I need this kind of energy in the morning. I need to take this into my day.
Yeah, a lot of it, which is inspirational. It drives me every day. So I'll get comments, I'll get emails, I get little things, and at first it started off with just a one or two, and that's all I really needed, really, to be honest with you. I just need,
Right.
if one person could tell me, hey, you know what, you're making an impact on me. My time is made. I'm like, my job is done. But what I found is that more people, as the word spread and people were kind of sharing the podcast and people were in weight loss communities and different stuff that know me from my blogging days, they were really starting to, oh, that's nice. Look at that Raging Fire Fitness.
Yes.
Awesome.
You have some fans up in here, man. You have a lot of fans, by the way. Like, I mentioned that I was going to be speaking to you today on my live this morning, and they're all like, "Oh, I love him. He's awesome."
Oh, that's great, man. So, it's humbling though, man, to be honest with you, because I was just sharing, when you share your story and you bear yourself back, right? And you're saying to yourself, okay, here's my vulnerability and here's where I'm at in my struggle, whether it's through, I'm trying to get to weight loss goals, I'm trying to get to financial goals, success goals, whatever. When you bear yourself back, man, you subject yourself to a lot of either ridicule or people, those eyes looking at you going, but they're not really looking at you. They're looking at you as an example. They're looking at you as going, oh, wow, man. If he goes through this every day, and I see that smile on his face every day on TikTok, on Instagram, on all these social media platforms, and I know he struggles, that matters to me because I struggle every day. So I think that's where the connection is in this space,
I love that you share that, because I think growing up with this whole putting your story out there in the internet world, when I first started vlogging on YouTube back in 2016, or even prior to that, I had this persona that I had to come across as being perfect. And I kind of didn't even share anything that was challenging me in my life. And what I started to realize was that people pay a lot more attention to what you're speaking of. Like, people want to hear what you're going through, but they also want to see you being a positive person, overcoming those things, because that's what gives them fuel to want to get better themselves. So I love that you share that.
Well, what's interesting is it's easy. It's so easy when you're in this space to fall into the negatives, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If you got people that say to you, "Hey, Joe, I'm struggling with the following," and you immediately go, "Yeah, me too. I got I really struggle with that or whatever," and then you get caught in this web of just negativity with no positive outcome.
Right.
Like, listen, at the end of the day, let's all just try to come together to be able to either come up with a solution or come up with some sort of one small step you can take. It doesn't have to be a fix it, but it can be oh, you know what? If we are feeling that way, hey, try this. Let's try doing this. Let's do it together. And I think that when you do stuff like that, it just gives, I don't know, it kind of pushes people the direction of being a little bit more positive, because it's so easy to stay right in that negative muck and that gross stuff,
It is. This is how the universe works, I guess. This morning, before I started taking calls, I was like, look, everybody pay attention. I love that people are keeping it real on here. Honestly, I don't have any complaints, but I want to make sure that if we are going to talk about like where we're at and there's like a big funk, make sure that we quickly try to transition into shifting into what we're looking forward to. Because I agree with you. It is really, really easy to get stuck in the funk. And I'm going to share this with you. I don't know who said it, but there was an analogy of, if we're on the highway and you have traffic going south and you have traffic going north, if there's an accident on the south side, most human beings are going to slow down to rubberneck. That's just what we do. And pay attention to the bad thing, try to see how bad it is. And we all forget that on the south side, traffic is moving so slow. There's a lot of good happening. And so I think that's a good analogy for the world. Is like, there's so much good happening, so much good to be paying attention to. It's just all about perspective. Where we put focusing our lenses. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, when I get up each morning, my wife always looks at me. She always kind of gives me this weird look all the time. She's always like, okay, because I so what I do is, through everything that I do in the morning with my coffee, I have to right size my brain, because some days are not good. Listen, I get up some days, it's crappy. I mean, I'm like, I don't want to do anything today.
Right.
But I do things like, I'll show you something really quick.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. Yo, I forgot to tell you guys out there in the Facebook world, YouTube world, and everybody who came over from TikTok. My man is gifted with, talented with art. You're like an artist, right? In a sense. Yeah.
I think so anyway. I doodle some cartoons or whatever else, but I get a lot of people telling me you're really good at it. So on my lives on Tuesdays and Thursdays on TikTok, I try to be able to just do some sort of it's like therapy for me. If I go on there and I write something or I draw something, it's just my way of continuing to keep my brain going the right direction.
I
So it's
love it.
pretty cool. Thanks.
Love it.
So this
Yeah,
is what
you're
I
welcome.
did this morning. I posted about it on TikTok about 5 minutes before I hopped on with you. But this is something that I do every day. And my wife always looks at me like, why do you need to do and really get into the finite details? But here's what I do, man. Look at this. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's
Yeah, we can see
straightforward.
it. We can see
Look
it.
at
We can see
it's
it.
everything. It's my whole day. Look
I
at.
love it. I
So this
love
is my
it.
day off today because I took a vacation day on Friday and Monday
Good
from
for
work
you.
so we could do. And
Yeah.
even on my vacation day, I still have a schedule to invest in others and
Yeah.
invest in everything I'm doing. So everything from showering, which we forget to do when we're in quarantine, right? Shaving, coffee, everything. I check it all off. You know why? So I can feel throughout the day that I'm accomplishing something. At least one thing I can feel like, hey, you know what? It was a bad day, but guess what I did do? Look at all the things I did do today, right?
I love that.
I thought that was pretty cool. I put that out there on video right before I hopped on with you, man.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And you guys don't even want to know how many days it's been since I showered, so we'll just keep that. I'll let you guys guess. And
That's what I'm saying, man.
That's awesome, man. And I bet you, I'm willing to bet when you're consulting companies out there, you use that checklist format for them.
I do.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm working with them, or even to give them, it's almost like homework when I leave, and I say, okay, take inventory of your situation. I always say that on the podcast. I'm always talking to people about take inventory of your life. Because if you can take inventory of the things that you have that are going positive rather than the negative, and we're feeling the space of the whole negative part of it, you're going to find there's a lot more positive things than you really think so, because we're just feeling that way, right?
Big time, yeah.
So I do that same thing with businesses too. I'm always like, okay, I know your profits and losses are here. I know you're losing money here or doing this or whatever. So let's take a look at what you do well, and let's lean in on those things that you do well. So take inventory of those, and let's really lean in on those behaviors to be able to move forward. So it works together, Joe, man. Like the business side of it,
absolutely,
consulting, health related stuff, just personal worth is something they work in conjunction with each other. So,
are you a big reader?
I used to be a bigger reader. Now I'm more into, I put all that stuff through art now.
Gotcha.
So my personal time, like last night I drew this like little hip hop cartoon, little hip hop art guy with a spray paint can. So I was doing that for a little while. And then after that got done, my mind was still racing a little bit. And I used to read during those times to be able to kind of calm me down. But then I went into another piece of, I was doing some artwork, and I flipped on live last night, had around 10 or 11 people on there just like watching the art and
that's awesome.
Seeing it all. So that's kind of my therapy now, but I used to read a lot. I do read self-help books though. I read stuff to be able to, get me going the right direction.
That's cool. I love that you use art to kind of clear your mind.
Yep.
Sorry, I thought I had a burp or something, but I had a guest yesterday. His name is Nub the Poet, and he writes poetry, and he gave a fantastic, someone asked about having writer's block, and he gave a fantastic kind of what's the word I'm looking for, remedy to that. And basically he said, he basically said doodle. He said, we as human beings, we give ourselves limitations, even when it comes to writing on paper. And he said writing is one of the purest forms of self-healing. He said, when you write on the paper, you see these fine lines and you think you have to write on those lines. But he said, when you go and get a sheet of paper out, don't give yourself any rules. Just write what comes to you. Yep. And I think that's kind of what you're doing with your doodling, is that it's a form of meditation in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, I think I probably got it here. So, here it is. So my last live, I was starting to do these line drawings that I was doing. And remember, this is all about me trying to be able to just channel my energy. I know it sounds kind of like chakras and all that stuff, but I'm channeling my energy to a good place. So I was having a tough day. So I don't know if you can see it. See all those little lines?
Yeah, I saw you. I actually hopped on the live with you working on that.
Yeah, so this is they're 5 lines each, and I go through and I'm creating a weave for the whole entire paper. And then I might start coloring it or something like that. So I did that on my last live, and all kinds of people were like, man, that's so cool. And so I'm just sitting there lining it out, and I'm talking to everybody as I go. I felt like it was a therapy session. I felt like I was with a psychologist on a long black couch talking to people, and we're just having a conversation about life. It was great. Awesome. It was amazing.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So back to your podcast. Actually, the reason I was asking you if you read is because I was curious if you read the book or heard of the book E-Myth Revisited.
I
by
haven't.
Michael Gerber, I think.
Nope, I haven't heard that one yet. Nope.
There was a reason I brought that up, and now it has completely left my brain.
Well,
It'll
you'll have to send me the name of it. I can check it out if it's good at all. You know what I mean? If it has probably has something to do with what we were talking about. So
Absolutely. I'll let you know the name, and I hope it comes back during this conversation.
sure.
But going back to your podcast, do you go into your talks now with a pretty much like an agenda of what you want to talk about? Is it pretty much open? Like, what is the as of today? What is the thesis of your podcast?
Yeah. So what I do, because you got to think about 199 episodes of me talking into a microphone,
Yes,
you get some repetition, right? Some things that
absolutely.
overlap and they lay over, but I'm okay with that. I'm able to mentally check that out and say, if I go through the same thing that I did 25 or 30 podcasts ago, that's okay because it's what I'm feeling. So what I find is that preparation sometimes is a detriment to me. Preparation is something that when it comes to podcasts, with life, I like preparation because I like to give myself a schedule and stuff like that. But with the podcast, I like the fact of if I can speak through the mind and the heart and I can just get it out there, whatever thought that I'm having, because some podcasts I only do 15 minutes and some of them I'll
Wow,
do 35 or 40. So
that's
there's
awesome.
like a little in between. If I'm really in thought, I'm talking. One of the hardest things for me though, see, a lot of podcasts have multiple people like you and I right here, right? So we're pinging off of each other and we're feeding off of each other. If I'm struggling, the other person go, "Hey man, I'm here for you."
Yeah,
But when it's just you and a mic, it's just you and a mic. That's it, right? And
right.
and the mic is very judgmental and it's looking at you going, "Do you got something to say, man? Like seriously?" So for me, what I love about it is I just love it because like I said before, it's my therapy, but I take my thoughts and I just go, here I am. Now, what I did was I've been doing live stream also very recently with a couple interviews. I did one with a good friend of mine from Instagram and a partner of mine from another Facebook page that I run. I'll let you know about that in a second too.
Okay, cool.
But what we did is that with the live stream, I went off the cuff. I didn't give any kind of I didn't even give a whole, hey, I want you to cover these things. The only thing I told them was I want to get to know you better. And I want you to fill in the blanks of some stories of your life or where you're at right now because you inspire me, right? And so they're like, okay, so first of all, I inspire them. That's pretty awesome. And I'm going to come there to the table to say, okay, here's my life. And then we play off of each other. And that's it. I don't know, man. Structure when it comes to these things, I feel like when it comes from the heart and the mind, it's so much more authentic, you know?
And that's the feedback I've been receiving from he's like a brother of mine. He was my teammate back in college. He called me. He popped up. Shout out to Aaron Patterson out there. He called me or texted me and said he loves the show. And he said there's something about you going in, not really doing much research about the person you're interviewing, and you guys just like literally jamming. And that's
Right.
the feel. That's the feel I want too. Because structure around me trying to put structure on this, I feel like I would lose the authenticity that I want. And that's why I like coming in here. I come in here really, really cold, and just want to jam. Literally want to get to know you. So
exactly. That's just like when you had said, "Hey, let's hop on the Cup of Joe." I said, "All right, man." And what was it? Just like 2 minutes ago, I just said, "All right, man, send me the link, man. Where are we at?" And then boom,
yeah,
just get right into it and go.
right.
I like that so
Exactly.
much better.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So much natural. All right. So you have a question from Santa Knox. She said, "Who would be your art inspiration?"
It's interesting because I don't have a lot of names of people that I'm inspired like as in names. Now, there's some people on TikTok. I'll be honest with you. I'm part of a pretty good little art community that I found just through TikTok. So, Madeline, I can't remember her last name. Madeline. She draws blue and yellow photos, kind of like these hip hop looking stuff. And then Dave Makes Things is pretty good on TikTok. If you get a chance to go check him out, he did a custom hat for me last week that came in with. We always rap about on his lives. I always say that I'm an old school hip hop fan. So I like Eric B and Rakim. So I like EFFECT. So he put this right across the front of it with an old style microphone on it.
Oh, that's
It
dope.
was so cool, man. He sent that to me the other day. It was so awesome.
That's
But
awesome.
these are some artists that I have. But I will tell you, a lot of your old graffiti style and old stuff that you can have where people would tag stuff and just the old lettering back in the day where I grew up with when I was younger, it kind of kept me out of trouble a little bit, even though I was doing something that could have got me in trouble. But all that artwork back then really inspires me of the way that the colors looked and the way that the letters look and the three-dimensional feel to them. So I don't know if there's names to them. I think it's more of the style of the art that I like a lot more, you know?
Gotcha. That's cool. Good question, Santa. And then Michelle just wants to know what the name of the book is. The name of the book is called E-Myth Revisited. It's by Michael Gerber. And honestly, I recommend you listen to audio versus read the book. If you're a reader, I understand. But the audio is awesome because the author himself is reading, and he has a very amazing personality. So he gives you some. He makes it feel as if you're with him with this in this story. So
I love audiobooks because I travel a lot. So I just like flipping them in, either podcasts or audiobooks. I put them in there and I just kind of go if I'm driving an hour and a half to get to where I got to get to sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
When I was on the road, I used to listen to. I was listening to a lot of Gary Vee, no lie, but I started listening to Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that book for everybody. The best audiobook I've listened to. And
that's great.
Also, he's the author and he's reading the book himself, so he's a great narrator. But yeah, it was fun. Cool, man. So as far as the podcast, do you have any goals for yourself, or you just kind of seeing what this thing does?
Well, I mean, eventually, just like I probably anybody that plays in this space of self-help or motivation or inspiration or whatever it is, the niche that you're falling into, I would love to be doing it for a living. To be honest with you, I would love to be doing this much more than traveling on the road to travel around to be business consultant, because
Absolutely.
I get more out of it. It's more fulfilling to me.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so for me, I would love it for it to pan out that way. I've just, which is really great. On one level, I never really thought I would, but I just gained a couple sponsors through the podcast now. So look at that. I got some patrons now of the show where they go in and they just kind of invest in the show, and it's growing slowly, but it's one of those things of any small little step forward in it is really great towards my overall goal. But I will tell you, I was telling you earlier about Facebook. I have a page. It's called No Finish Line Nation. Okay. And it's on Facebook. It's a closed group. It's NFLN for short, kind of like the television show, but No Finish Line Nation. And when we first started, it was 4 of us that were admins, and we all got together and said, we need a place where we can share videos, share blogs, but it's got to be safe for people to feel like they aren't just putting it out there for the whole world to see. If they're talking about their overweight this morning, or they're not feeling good in their jeans, or whatever else, So we started this page, and over the last year and a half, it has 42,000 people that have joined this No Finish Line Nation page.
Wow.
Blows my mind.
Wow.
But what it is I think it's exactly what our intent was, is we wanted to give people a place that's safe for them, that they could literally get up in the morning and say, my hair's a mess, my makeup looks crappy, I'm not feeling up to par or whatever, I'm just feeling like crap right now, help me. And then people are like, hey, listen, you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're amazing, let's go, let's do this together. I'm also not feeling it, I'm on board with it, let's go do it together. There's challenges, there's all kinds of stuff. So if you do get a chance, it's under Facebook groups called No Finish Line Nation. Just check it out. You can even just be a browser to check it out, because it's one of those places where I love going to just to find inspiration. Sometimes I'm an admin and I make lots of posts and comments. I sometimes, some days, just go there to watch, because I'm like, man, these people are just inspiring the hell out of me. It's great.
I'm definitely going to check it out and make sure. I don't know if you can see the screen, but I tried to type it in here. That's No Finish Line Nation. Okay, perfect. So if you guys want to check it out, there it is. It sounds like an awesome thing you guys got started there.
Good community, yeah. Yep.
Yo, so I think it'll be cool. This is random. You can put this on my tab if you need to. But I would love for you at some point throughout this conversation to consult me on. I want to get to that point as well. I think it'd be cool to get this show to a place where it's not like I'm necessarily needing sponsors, but if there's projects that I would love to do, I would love to be in that mix, and I would love to get to where you're at. So I haven't started a podcast yet. I think I was telling you, or I might have meant to mention that. And now I'm looking into equipment. And so just would love to hear some advice now that we're talking one-on-one at some point throughout getting started with the podcast.
I just did an interview the other day. There's another guy on TikTok. It's funny how I'm finding all these people through TikTok. It's crazy.
I'm telling you, people don't understand.
So, it blows me away. So this guy, Wes Tankersley, I think his name is, he wears a Superman outfit, and he like whatever. And he's a motivational speaker. He likes to really inspire people.
What's his name?
He reached out to me. Wes Tankersley is his last name.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So he said to me, hey, I want to do an interview with you, and I want to sit down with you. And one of the questions that he asked me on his live stream was, what do you consider to be success? And what's advice that you give to people that are getting into podcasting? Like literally, like we opened with, Joe, I'm sitting in my upstairs office. I'm not in a studio. I don't have all the professional equipment. I don't have all these little sound barriers and whatever else. I do have a couple little sound things on the wall to stop from echo. But other than that, I just get on a mic and start talking. my number one advice for folks like you or anybody else that wants to do a podcast, because I hear people always say, I want to do a podcast. It'd be kind of cool. Me and my friends, just do it. Like literally do like I did. When they told me you should do a podcast, I went down to Guitar Center. I said, listen, I need a couple things here. I got a low budget here because I can't just spend this kind of money on anything. So I need a microphone, I need a mixer, and an input to put into the back of my computer. I don't need the big soundboards. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need something that I can get my voice onto audio and be able to send it out. And by me doing that was the first step for me going towards my dreams and doing the things that I really wanted to do. I didn't realize it at the time, but now I realize that this is what I want to do. This is my life, and this is what I want to try to be able to do and accomplish. So at the end of the day, my only advice that I give to anybody that wants to try to do it, just do it. Don't worry about what people think. If you listen to like I said, the first 5 or 6 podcasts, I listen to them now, but I still keep them there. But I'm still like, oh my, what was I doing? Like, I'm like, hey guys, just me here. It's sunny out. You know what I mean? Versus anything structured or anything, but just do it. Get the mic, get the mixer, put it into your computer, start the podcast. One website I will tell you, Joe, if you start to feel like it's starting to flow and you start to get a good momentum going with your podcast, there's a website called Podcorn, Podcorn. And what you can do is you can go and find sponsors through Podcorn. And what you do is you put your stuff out there and you link your podcast to it. And then what they'll do is they'll listen to it a little bit and they'll see if it matches what they're trying to sell and they're trying to do. And so I've gained a couple really good relationships through Podcorn as well. Let's see, does he use Anchor at the bottom there, FM, or does he everything himself? Yeah, I do everything for myself on the podcast. I use Audacity, which is a free download.
I've played with Audacity before.
Yeah, that's the software. Now, there's a couple things with Audacity. One of the things is that if you're using Mac, I don't know if you use Mac or you use Windows. Okay.
Mac. Mm-hmm.
So I do too, and I'm talking to you on my Mac computer, but I also have a Surface Pro. And so I use the Audacity on the Surface Pro because Mac, for some reason, the newest software doesn't interact with Audacity very well. The audio doesn't come through very well. So that was a blip in the road. So I had to do it all on my my Surface Pro. So I just take my little USB output and I put it right into my Surface Pro, which is great because then I can take it on the road or take it travel if I want to do a podcast somewhere. But Audacity is one of the best things that I found. But Mac uses GarageBand a lot of times with the stuff that they do. I'm not a big fan for podcasting wise of that. What I love about me doing all of everything is I'm learning all the engineering side of it too.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't edit a ton because I really feel if you're authentic and you make mistakes or you make errors or boo-boos, I think people go, he's real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just this polished, hey guys, we're at the podcast. You know,
big time.
You're real, you're honest, you're authentic. I think people enjoy that. So I leave that in there because we all make mistakes, all of us.
Yeah, it's relatable. And I appreciate that so much. Two part. Number one, just getting started. You guys see exactly why I brought Shane on the show. I mean, we vibe. This is exactly my conversation. Just get started. I'm as I'm saying, I'm giving myself the permission and reminder as well.
Right.
The second thing I wanted to mention is hold on real quick. Sorry, we had a question come in. Ask if you could be a motivational speaker. Who's your target audience? Misty.
Oh, wow.
Huh. I know that one stumped me too.
I don't think there is a target audience, Misty, to be honest with you. I think when you get into the space of trying to be able to motivate people or inspire people, I think it's open book. I think anybody that can latch onto it to find it. I really feel like I've had people reach out to me that I never would have thought would have reached out to me. Like people that I know personally that are like very aggressive or very confident in everything that they're doing. And they've reached out to me to say, hey, listen, I needed you today. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I never would have thought that my message would resonate with you because I thought you were already there, which is a mistake of mine because not everybody's perfect.
I bet you 90
has flaws.
Yeah.
So it's anybody really, you know?
Yeah. I bet you 90% of people, if not higher, think that people are on different levels of that. And it's just not true. And I'm witnessing that right now. With my audience on TikTok, I'm having the craziest like emails or DMs. And I'm like, wow, it's resonating. It's crazy.
I know. It's humbling and it's awesome.
Big time.
But it's also intimidating a little bit too when you think about it. Now I've got an
Yes.
expectation to meet. I got to meet this expectation that people are looking to me, and I'm like, ooh, man, I better not let them down, man.
I know. I'm feeling the same heat too, but I think we're good. We're naturally. I think that's the whole thing about being authentic and being yourself is that while the pressure is there, it's like we just have to continue being us. And I think that's what makes me feel good about my journey on TikTok versus like the Facebook and the Instagram. When I started off being one persona and I've changed my personas different multiple times, it becomes a little bit uncomfortable trying to hold those expectations, if that makes sense. So
right, no, it makes sense, total sense.
Yeah. The second part I want to say I appreciate about you and your talk about being just you don't edit much is I found that on YouTube when I was vlogging, making videos, I would cut a lot of scenes and I would I would do take after take after take because I stuttered, because I said a word wrong. And what I'm finding on TikTok is that I don't do that many takes. I just do one hit. If I stuttered, if I messed up, oh well. And those videos I loved way more than all my polished videos on YouTube. And it's amazing.
My wife told me that the other day when she sees me hop on there to do a TikTok video or something like that. And it takes me one, maybe two, if something happens, I'll go one. And then she's like, you've got a knack for that. I don't know how you do that. She goes, it would take me 100 takes to be able to get that 3-word sentence out. And I'm like, listen, I'm just here it is. Boom. and then just get it out there. And it, like, I know they use the term of if it flops, it flops. It's okay.
Yeah,
listen, the way I look at it is if it flops and I get 100 views on that thing or 50 views or 40 views, that's 40 people that looked at it and said, that's awesome. Right. That's it.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm cool with that.
Absolutely. It's all perspective. What's the biggest lesson you've learned throughout this journey of podcasting?
I think the biggest lesson, that's a good one. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is flaws are okay, right? Flaws are okay. We can be imperfect, which makes us perfect, right? And I know that's it's kind of like a cliche, but I believe in that. I believe wholeheartedly in that because listen, I'm imperfect. And I embrace my flaws. I embrace the fact that I still struggle with weight and I still try to be able to go through it. I embrace the fact that I want to be the best dad that I can be, but I'm not a perfect dad. I've never done it before. So here I am trying to wing it to be a dad to a teenager. I don't know any different, but I know if I'm doing my best and I keep on trucking and doing everything I have to do, that makes me perfect in my own mind. That's all I can do is put the effort in and everything. So I learned that through the podcast because a lot of people share that with me where they're like, listen, I look at myself in the mirror. I go to the gym. I have people that like, I don't want to go to the gym because I'm too overweight. I'm embarrassed to get on the treadmills. I'm embarrassed to get to different places. I'm like, listen, it's all perspective. That's all it is. Listen, if you really are worried about what they're thinking about, then you need to start thinking about, okay, who am I doing this for? Am I doing it for them or am I doing it for me? Right. You should be the person you focus on. And and if you are imperfect, make sure you realize that makes you perfect the way you are.
I love that. That's a great answer. Great answer. I'm just going to go ahead and segue into if you were on the, and it might be a similar answer to what you just shared, but I'm just curious. If you were on the Ellen show in front of her audience and she said, hey, Shane, what is your one message that you want the world to hear? What would that be?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking about that the other day when I was doing another little podcast with somebody. I think the words, almost to take it out of Gary Vee's mouth a little bit, is be consistent, right? Be consistent. Continue to move forward and be consistent with your actions. Be vigilant with your actions and be thoughtful with your actions, but be consistent. If you're looking to lose weight, listen, be consistent with your actions. Do the things you have to do, whether it's prepping, whether it's getting your food ready, whatever it is. If you want to be philanthropic and you want to give back to people, be consistent. Continue to do it. Don't do the one-stop shop of going, oh, look at me, I'm giving back or whatever, and then walk away from it. Be consistent. Live a lifestyle around it. Be consistent. If you're a religious person, hey, I'm not a very religious person, but if you are, hey, listen, be consistent with it. Those behaviors matter, and if you're consistent with it, it creates routine, and it creates behaviors that are built around the things you really want to do. So consistency is key. That's what I say.
I just want to say thank you for that. That gave me goosebumps. That's amazing. That's amazing. How long have you been following Gary Vee?
Actually, to be honest with you, he's the one that pulled me over to TikTok. So
Me too. Me too.
yeah, right. So I was
Yeah.
sitting there, and I watch him on some business channels, and I watch him on some stuff, and he's funny, and he's like, when he was young, he was like wild and crazy, and I was like, that's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
So when I saw that he was on TikTok, I had two prongs took me to TikTok. One of them was him when he said, "Get on there," because it's a great resource to be able to get your message out there, do the things you want to do, become successful, do all the things you want to do. Of course, all those are on my plan. But the other piece to it was a local podcasting studio who also followed Gary Vee mentioned it to me. He goes, listen, we need more guys' perspective. He goes, guys' honest perspective, like in how they feel and things. Because, guys, we don't talk about that stuff. We don't talk about, hey, man, I'm really sensitive right now. I felt like crying after I saw that commercial today. They're like, what? You want to be macho and be like, whatever. So he was like, you have a message you could bring to the table. He goes, TikTok doesn't have a lot of that. So you need to get there. And I went, okay, so two-prong, it was almost like the stars were aligning for the Gary Vee message and then this buddy of mine that said, get there. And so far, a couple months into it, I feel like it's really been a really positive thing in my life. It's been great.
It's been outstanding.
Yeah.
Just like you said, you're meeting great people on there. I met you on there. I think it's been fantastic. And you'll appreciate this. Yesterday, I made a video. I went running.
The tree?
Dude.
I love it. I love it.
It was two-part. The second part, I literally hesitated posting because I didn't want people to think I was doing it for clout.
Right.
Like I had when I made the video, my intention was I'm going to show men that I'm going to cry. Like it's a random afternoon. I'm running 10 miles. I feel happy about myself. I feel happy about my life.
Those endorphins are coming out.
Everything's coming out. Like I'm happy. Like my tears are coming out. I want to show that, but I hesitated. And to go back to what you said, men don't show that a lot. And I think that's a quality that I think you and I bring to the table is that, we're going to be honest, we're going to be real, but we're also going to show our sensitive sides and say it's okay, and I think the world needs more of that, especially around these times in the COVID-19.
What's funny around the podcast, we get analytics in the podcast. So you see downloads, you see different stuff. And I would say 75% of all of my listeners are women. Okay. So I asked my wife that. I said, what's the reason for that? Why is it resonating? Just because the weight loss communities, a lot of women are in weight loss community. Guys are like, I'm not going near that direction. I'll go lift weights and I'll go do whatever I got to do.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. She said, I think the reason is because women like to hear the perspective of how they can also talk to their husbands and their grandfathers and their sons. You give that outlet to know that men have feelings too, and men go through things. You express that to them and they're like, oh, so I'm not just looking at this pig-headed macho guy over here. He actually has some feelings, and I can approach it. So I get a lot of people that tap into that, and I think it's the same thing for you, Joe. I think people can relate to being the fact of they're going, oh, this guy, he's a sensitive guy, but he also is a smart, articulate, well-mannered family man doing his thing. I think that matters to people. It really is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, guys, Facebook, YouTube. If you have any questions for my guy, Shane, let's do a rapid fire before we close out. I have a few rapid fire questions I want to throw out at you. But please leave your questions below, or just say something nice to Shane. Please show him some love. That would make my day. Okay, quick rapid fire questions. What do you like to do for fun outside of doodling, outside of the podcast?
I'm a big proponent in our neighborhood. We moved into our neighborhood 4 years ago, and so I have a lot of dads in the neighborhood, and there's about 10 of us that are a really tight group. And so we'll do cornhole tournaments and we do different stuff around the neighborhood. So we do a guys weekend. So I like spending time with those guys because they all get it. They're all got teenage kids or younger kids, and we all kind of get together and, shoot it and do whatever we have to do and have a couple beers. But that's really some of my favorite time. Of course, the other part is my family, just being around my family and stuff.
Absolutely. So that's awesome. Cornhole, you and I were to go one-on-one. Who do you think would win? Who do you think would win?
I don't know, man. I'm a ringer, man. I've sunk all 4 bags a couple times, man.
Wow, I've never done that, so I'll go ahead and give you that victory. That's hilarious. I love cornhole. I learned it. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Yep.
And then I've been in Indiana for about 4 or 5 years now. And this is where I picked up the game cornhole, and it's addicting. It's addicting, man.
It's fun.
I'm competitive, right? So I love to play the game. What are your thoughts? What are your views on TikTok? Just what do you see as far as the platform and its potential?
Well, I mean, I'm old enough now to know that we've seen some platforms come and go that have been really popular. Even just before TikTok, it was called Musical.ly before that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So things do come and go. Some things are a flash in the pan. The only thing that's really stayed true the test of time so far is Facebook, even though the viewership has gone way down, right? Overall, like people stepping away from Facebook because of the political stuff and all the other stuff that goes on.
Right.
I think it's only as valuable as what people are putting out and what they're having, right? So as we progress, right, it started as being a young kids thing, right? Oh, thanks, Sandra. I appreciate that. It started as being a, kids going out there and having fun and dancing and this, that, and the other, which is fine, right? But what we're finding is just millennials and Gen X folks are all starting to come into play now. And they're all starting to kind of come into the fold where they're like, well, I love this medium of 15 seconds to 60 seconds just to get my thoughts and to be silly and be fun, especially in a time like right now where everybody's so just kind of bogged down by the news and everything going on. It could be such a positive influence. And I really hope that we continue to elevate it and move it forward and make it more and more user friendly, right? More and more user friendly, whether it's come to messaging, or I love the fact that we can select comments now and highlight the comment and talk about it and those kind of things. It kind of removes some of that troll aspect of it too, right? Like when people are like, oh, yeah, you remember saying this?
Absolutely.
Like, So I think it's as valuable as we make it. And I think if we continue to put out good content and we continue to come from a positive place and we really keep pushing forward, I think it'll be a value to people. So
awesome.
That's my thoughts.
Awesome, man. Without getting too nitty gritty, this is a tough question for me to ask because I know you can go different ways. It's controversial, but sure. As far as privacy and these social media platforms, right? Facebook, now you have TikTok, which has had a lot of controversy, but I feel like every platform has, right? Has had some backlash to, how safe is it? What are your thoughts around privacy and like safety when it comes to apps like TikTok, Facebook, and the social media platforms?
I think the big thing for me is if you're protective of what you got to be protective of, you can put in steps and procedures to be able to be as closed off as you need to be, right? So if you're only going into closed groups, great. That like No Finish Line Nation, there you are. You got at least some protection there. Now, from the makers of the apps, that's a little different, right? So we don't really know where they're at with it, and that's where all the controversy comes into play.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like, to be honest with you about TikTok is I do, when I'm looking at it, there's a lot of resources for people that do inappropriate stuff or think inappropriately for privacy of kids, right? These kids that are on there, it worries me because I'm thinking to myself, my kid's 14. And if he goes on there and posts something, which he doesn't, he watches all the videos. He doesn't post anything.
Right.
But I know that if I have a young daughter or I have whatever, that scares me. And that's one of the reasons why I originally joined TikTok, to be honest with you, on top of all the other stuff, because I wanted to keep an eye on things that is in front of his face and where he's at with it. So that's one thing that concerns me. And I really hope that they put some steps and measures in place is to be able to protect the privacy of the kids that are on the app itself. And I know you can only go so far, but it's just one of those things of I feel like they got to keep driving that home, man. They can't just let that go rampant, off into the sunset whenever anybody can have access to it. So privacy, like you said, can go many different directions. We'll see how it goes. I'm pretty open with where I'm at on all my platforms. I probably absolutely shouldn't be, but I am.
I just feel like it's the world we live in. That's my point of view, and I respect everybody else's opinion. And I think as the platform starts to age up, and money starts to go into the system, because now I'm starting to see a lot of big brands going in there. There's going to be voices that play a role in, hey, we're going to have to create some lines.
I think you'll start seeing it on Capitol Hill and in Washington, D.C. A lot of them are going to be like back at it going, okay, we need to put at least some measures in place, FCC stuff or whatever, because TikTok, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was originally created in China, right?
Yeah,
it was over
absolutely.
in China. So
absolutely.
Their restrictions are a little bit less. They have less than the restrictions. So that's where it worries me a little bit, where it comes over to the States where we've got some rules that we need to follow. So we'll see how it all pans out. But I'm really hoping that it sticks around because I'm a big fan of it. I've gained a lot of friends like yourself and everybody else. And it's a great place for me.
Absolutely. Big time. I'm going to let you ask the question of the day, Shane. You can literally take your question anywhere you would like to take it, challenge the audience, or ask for your own education.
Yeah. Oh, wow. All right. So my question of the day, let's see here. I think a lot of times I always ask on the podcast and everywhere I go, and it's a question that comes up that takes some deep thinking to when you think about this question for yourself. So when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, what do you say about yourself? What do you see in the mirror? And if you see something in the mirror that you don't like, what do you do about that? Right? Because a lot of times we all get up in the morning, we get up, we look in the mirror, we got our plan for the day, we got whatever it is. And however we're feeling at that moment in time can set the tone for the rest of the day. So if I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling overweight, or I'm feeling gross, or I'm not put together, I don't have my ties not fitting my outfit, or whatever else, if I'm hitting the road or whatever, I know it sets me off for the rest of the day. So the question is, when you get up and first thing in the morning, what are you seeing when you look in the mirror? It doesn't have to be answered right now. That should be a question you ask yourself every single morning, because it gives you a moment to reflect on, okay, am I proud of myself, or am I looking at myself going, you're a failure? Because if you're in the place where you're a failure, the rest of your day will probably be in that failure mode. You've got to look at yourself and say, okay, I don't feel that great about it, but here's the changes I'm going to make right now to set myself up for success for the rest of the day.
Awesome question. Awesome. Shane, it's been a pleasure, my man.
Me too.
I already knew this was going to be awesome. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. Everybody, Facebook and YouTube. Shane, I'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
Kind of tell people where to find you, what you're up to, so they can chase you around and yeah.
So all the other areas that you see me on the other platforms, the only platform that I'm known as, like Joe has listed right there, as Liquid Shano, is on TikTok. All the rest of the platforms, you got to put a 1973 at the back end of that. So Liquid Shano 1973. Because what I was finding is I was hopping into lives on TikTok or whatever. They were having a hard time reading through this really long name of Liquid Shano 91973. I cut the year off on the back of it, so I just kept it as simple as I could. I was going to go Shano, but I just said, I want to continue to move forward with it. So on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Twitter I don't really use as much, but all the other ones I use. Liquid Shano 1973.
Okay.
The podcast can be found on any platform. If you are on TikTok, you can go right into my bio, click the link. It'll take you right to Apple, Android, and then also Spotify. It'll take you to any of those platforms, take you right to the podcast. And on YouTube, same thing, Liquid Shano 1973. I just started getting back into the YouTube. What I've been doing is every time I did a podcast, I would just kind of put the audio file on YouTube.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to bring live streams. So I did an interview the other day. I'm going to probably interview Dave Makes Things later this week. Hopefully I'll get him on there for his positivity and his artwork. So, that's another platform that I really want to be able to continue to go with. And lastly, here's another one for YouTube. My boy and I from Massachusetts, we're like long lost friends, even though we've only known each other for like 2.5 years, 3 years. His name is Jonathan, the Mud Hustler. Okay. So he slings mud everywhere. Crazy positive energy. He makes recipes for guys that are big, right? Put some proteins in there and some other stuff or whatever. But we have a channel called 2 Kitchen Tables and a Microphone. Okay.
Oh, nice.
And so what we've been doing, we've been streaming. So he's on one end, I'm on the other, and we just talk about whatever, man. Like what we're doing today. We talk about life. We talk about our struggle. We talk about successes, what's going on, and all that stuff. So if you want to check that out, 2 Kitchen Tables and a Microphone, or 2KTM on YouTube. And that's how you find me.
Yo, shout out to Michelle. She said Joe has a problem with names. I definitely do. It's something I have like in person or whether it's virtual. I don't know what it is. Names and myself do not get along all the time. But you guys heard my man. Go check him out. I'm not sure what you're saying, Jill. Anyway, Shane, appreciate the time, brother. I know we're going to stay in touch. We'd love to have you back on if we get a chance. And
I think we hit it off pretty well, man. I think it'd be good to do in the future. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle, Jill, Ramona, everyone who's been showing love. Thank you guys for all the kind words. And please go show my man Shane some love. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're curious what's happening over on TikTok, join us at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I do this thing called virtual hugs, and people are really loving it.
It's great, man. You get like 50, 60 people popping in there sometimes, man. I'm like, whoa.
yeah, it's catching fire. And your words about being consistent really resonated with me, because I've been thinking about like, how long is this going to last? At the end of the day, you know what? It's my personality, and I want it to go as long as it makes sense. So even with this show. So I appreciate the advice. I forgot one more question.
Okay.
You said you use the Surface.
Yep.
And you have a MacBook. Are they all connected?
No, they're separate. So the
Okay.
MacBook that I use at home is what I record my live streams on, just because it's a bigger screen for me. I can see everything and all that. My Surface Pro is like a 14-inch smaller laptop, so they're separate.
Just
But
for the audio.
yeah, just for the audio. And but my the place where I load them into. So
Yes.
when you start to do it, you have to pick a server that you like. I like Podbean is the one that I use. Podbean. Only because I've been doing them since the beginning and they've never really given me any issues. And I've got unlimited, but I do pay like a yearly fee or whatever just to be able to house them.
You
But
said
there's many of
Podbean.
them that like, I think somebody had brought up earlier a couple other apps like Anchor. You can do things on Anchor and some other things that is a free app that's there. But I like because I pay for the service of Podbean. It gives me more flexibility to be able to where to house them and how to be able to make them look a certain way. But yeah, you got to find your hosting service. But any of your computers after that, you just audio, mix it up and edit it or whatever, and then just house it right there and load it up.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. All right, my guy. Well, you have a great Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Everybody on Facebook and YouTube, I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. You guys have an amazing, amazing Monday, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Shane, if you have time, you want to stick around.
Okay.
I'm ending the live